whole f***ing world is underselling us. You know it as well as I do, right? I can't think of anything better. The fact that they aren't talking about our team with the depth that we have at every position, I've been saying it to every that I've spoken to in the media, right? In terms of our goalies, our back end close defensemen, our long stick middies, our short stick middies, our face-off guy, our midfields, and our attack. We got the best players at each respective spot. Saying what we did. We set the tone. They got to fall in our horn. You guys understand that? And that comes down to you handling your role and embracing it regardless of what it is. We don't give a who plays. This is about winning, and that's it. 1, 2, 3, ha!
All right, and we're back. And, you know, we had to wait for Brian, so I apologize. Brian is the one who made us late. But we're missing somebody. I know. Listen, we are missing somebody.
Mountain time? You got Mountain time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mountain Man Brian.
Yeah, Mountain Man Brian. But Jack,
Jim
unfortunately, is
straight here.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. Okay. I gotta get my jokes in now because once we start this, it's gonna be all serious. Matt has 10 pages of notes that Matt's gonna rattle off for the next 2 hours, and then we're not gonna be able to get anything else in. Obviously Jack is sick, so hopefully Jack gets well from
feel better.
Jack wants to dodge this because he doesn't want the expectations. Everybody else is gonna hear ours.
Yeah, Jack gets out of making predictions. He already knows the game.
He's learning quick. Obviously, we're gonna do the men's side. Matt and I know we're talking behind the scenes. I think we're gonna do the women's at a different time. I want to do a little more research into the women's before I sit there and tell everybody they're gonna go undefeated. Yeah. But we'll touch on the men. We'll obviously touch on the women's end, but Matt, we'll start with your usual card corner. So go ahead, do your thing.
We mentioned Jack. I gotta give Jack a little shout out. See if I can show this without the background. No, hold on. These dang flipping things. My messy man cave in the background. So Jack and his brother opened this on Christmas, and we were able to make a deal. So Casey Powell numbered to 10.
Nice.
Pretty pumped to check that off my list. One of the GOATs. And then you all saw the couple videos over the holiday break. I appreciate anybody tuning in. We did one more round of boxes that we got for Christmas. And we didn't stream them because Max didn't want to stream, which is fine. And we opened another 1 of 1, which was insane. So in 6 boxes, we got 2 1 of 1s and then a case hit. So it was extremely lucky. Oh, let me show you one more thing too. I forgot I got this. I got to give a shout out to one of Brian's guys.
Oh, I don't know about this one. So this is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I do know.
My background again. Sorry, old man trying to work this technology.
Because Matt's a big deal in the card world, so he's getting free stuff.
I know, right? Making stuff for free now. I see how it is. Okay.
Diggs, famous from Stick Talk, got this in the mail, and he messaged me. He goes, "I know someone who would want this. You want this?" And so it's an uncut sheet from the set this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the cool part about it is it's the red. So you guys see the red on the side of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the version that would be like the number to 10 cards.
Oh, sweet.
So it's like kind of extra cool. And it like some of the players that are on it are like really good. Like Schellenberger's on here. Hiltz is on here. I think Carter Rice is on here. Chris Kavanaugh, Schreiber, Teat. So like I'm trying to debate what I want to do with it. I might just get it framed, or I might wait and see if we can take it to some PLL games or something and get it signed by some players first, and then frame it, because I think that'd be kind of cool to see if I could get all of them in some way, shape, or form to sign one of their spots. But
Mhm.
that was really cool to dig, so I wanted to give him a shout out.
Is there any double variations of any of those cards on that, or is it all just single variations of every player?
It's all single variations. It's just
Okay.
it repeats after like so many down. It repeats again because it's just how they cut the sheets and
Mhm.
stuff. So, but it was pretty cool. It was really nice of him to send that to me. So I appreciate that he did that.
Usually I hope that Matt's going to do a 20-minute card corner, and I'm like, okay, I got 20 minutes to do my own. Nope. He's going to choose the one day, a 2-minute one where there's nothing going on for it.
I
Yep.
do want to see after a PLL game this summer, right? One of these players will say it's like Schallenberg or whoever, like signing cards. And the Matt pulls up. He's like, "Hey, I got this whole ass sheet for you."
Like, you're
Connor,
right.
will you sign my sheet, bro?
I will message every PLL player that I can and say, avoid that guy with the sheet. Run away the minute you
guy,
see
stay away
him
from
run.
him.
He's gonna build a reputation as sheet man.
Yeah.
I tend to, if I wanted to get anything signed, which I don't usually, I like the ones that are already on the cards. But if for some reason I do want something, I'll give it to Max and have Max get it signed because it comes across way less.
You got a cute kid. He's like, go have this on.
Yeah. Sheet guy with a kid. That's what we're gonna call you. Sheet guy with a kid.
Yep.
You want to start with the roster? Matt, you got your notes. So you and Cam are piloting this. Brian and I are just going off the cuff. So this is all
Okay.
You give me too much credit on this.
yeah.
This is a all vibes podcast.
Okay.
All
Well, except
vibes,
for Matt.
all time.
Except for Matt.
Yes. So the way we're gonna do this is first we'll go through the roster, talk about some things,
Mhm.
kind of almost similar a little bit to what we talked about post the scrimmages too.
Yeah.
Now that we're a little bit closer, maybe there's some other developments and that kind of stuff. And then from there we'll get into maybe some expectations for a few minutes. And then we'll break down the schedule, talk game by game by game. So obviously this whole roster is led by the senior class. Their last year to try to get to the top of the mountain, so to speak, led by Joey, obviously. And some, like, whether it's the roster or the key players that I have notes for the teams we're playing against, I have their stats too. So last year, Joey finished with 90 points, 35 and 55. He was the number one player going into the season per Inside Lacrosse. Two that just came out this past week, which I was happy to see him get a level of respect that I think he deserves. And then other key returners from the offensive side, you got Leo, who finished last year with 44 points, 32 and 12. He was the number 36 player on the Inside Lacrosse top 50 list. He was out for the fall, and from everything I've heard, he's good to go. It was more of a precaution in the fall to make sure he was ready for the spring. So he's good to go. Roa, also part of that senior class, finished with 33 points last year, 27 and 6. And then Thompson, who finished with 30 points, 23 and 7, which is pretty great considering he missed like 3 or 4 games last year. From the rest of the team, Mullins, a big key factor. I would say he was the second best faceoff guy in the country last year, right behind Wambach. He finished 63% on the season last year, and that is actually the number 25 out of the top 50 for Inside Lacrosse, only behind Wambach. And then from the defensive side, we've got our two-headed monster of Dwan and Fig. Dwan finishing with 33 ground balls, 18 caused turnovers. He's the number 35 player from the top 50 from Inside Lacrosse. Figueres finished with 31 ground balls and 27 caused turnovers. It's kind of funny with those two because Dwan's a little bit more of like the muscle and the flash, but then Figueres is just like the lockdown guy, right? But because it almost reminds me of Carter Rice, where like Carter Rice was a great, and Brian knows this and feels the same way I do. He was a great short stick defensive midfielder, but he wasn't the guy that was clearing it down and running and scoring 6 goals in the season. So no one gave a crap, right? Because he didn't do any of the flashy stuff. I feel like that's exactly how Figueres is. He's going to be most of the time taking the number one guy, shutting him down, but isn't going to be the flashy run down the field and get a goal in transition kind of depot. So he's not going to get all the accolades because he doesn't do the flashy things. He just does his job and does it well. And then finally, McCool, he finished last year with about 10.5 goals against average, over 200 saves, 216 saves, and about a 53.5 save percentage. So I think those are, our main key returners. I'll pause for a minute in case anybody wants to interject because I don't want to be the guy just talking the whole time.
No, I figured we were going to mute ourselves the whole time and just listen to you talk. So we, I think
It's crazy
right
that
off
we're
the.
here.
What's that?
Would you say, Gabe?
It's crazy that we're here with this class, with this like this era of Syracuse lacrosse.
Right.
Everything has been built around Joey Spallina and the class of 2022. And A, it's crazy that the season is almost here. And B,
Mhm.
it's a real moment of this is like it for this era.
Right.
They're gonna write that legacy this season, and there's no more. Every year has been a step towards and a build towards something next, and now there is no building towards next. Like whatever gets built this season is what this whole chapter, the last 4 years of Syracuse lacrosse, is going to get defined by.
Yep.
And they've already done a lot. They've already made breaking that Final Four drought last year it cannot be slept on as a landmark moment for the program in the modern era of college lacrosse.
Yep.
Mhm.
Now it's okay. There's kind of one thing left to do, and that's win a title.
Yep, exactly. It's interesting because I don't know if you all have seen some of the social media posts. I think IL was talking about it, and then Kevin and Hoagie on TLN were talking about like comparing him to like the greatest for Syracuse. And I hate that we do that as a sport now, is that everything is just a comparison, right? It's so obnoxious. And it's the same thing as like the LeBron and Jordan debate, right? Like two different eras, two different things, whatever. And it's one of those things to me that I think that if Joey was in the era where Syracuse was in its prime, he would be in that type of conversation 100%. But because he's been a part of a rebuild, so to speak, he'll never reach there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's hard to argue him being the same level as Gary and Mike, but he's kind of right underneath there, right? Like, because how do you measure greatness, right? Championships. And granted, a single player can't win championships, but it's hard to argue with Gary winning 3 in a row and only losing one game in 3 years, 1 or 2 games in 3 years, and then Mike winning two Twartons, all that kind of stuff. But it just makes you wonder if he was in a different era, how would people view him differently, right? Like, because there's no doubt in my mind that he breaks the points record.
Yeah,
Right.
if
Unless
you're seeing
crazy
people
happens, right?
in the wider lacrosse world pick up on it, where at least I have had that thought for at least 1.5 years at this point, that he was going to walk out of there as the all-time points leader.
So I think he needs 62,
Yeah,
and he had more than that as a
he had
freshman.
90 last year. Yeah,
Yep. So he has a chance to like obliterate it.
but like he's going to be the all-time points leader.
Yeah.
I don't think you can underrate the Princeton game as his really genuinely first 22 moment. I think that was like, and checking off the list of things where it's like, okay, not that we like, sure, there will be people who say like Joey Spallina or Gary Gage, Joey Spallina or Mikey Powell, right? Are you in that pantheon? If you come to Syracuse and you are 22, what you're compared against is that 5-year run of Gate, Lockwood, Powell. And Princeton last year was his Heisman moment, his 22 moment. That was where, okay, it felt like that was back on a big stage, that number. He's going to have all the statistics. It's really, can you put a banner in the dome again? And it's not going to be 3. It's not going to be 2. But you could argue that one title in 2026 in college lacrosse is worth more than it was in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s
Yeah.
because of how much different and how much top to bottom better the sport as a whole is.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy that Notre Dame won 2 in a row, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah, like
that doesn't happen anymore. Like,
and
I
like
think-
for him, that this is the year for him that all the guardrails are off. I think
Right.
last year, like CJ Kirst and McNaney were far and away the 2 best players in the country. And whether like you could have the debate about whether like Spallina or Sam King or Eicher should have been first team, but there's not that many like offensive headliners this
Mhm.
year. There's not. There's probably like 4 or 5. And so it's kind of a thing where like, yeah, Joey is expected to be the best player in the country. He's expected to produce like the best player in the country. You probably call him the Tewaaraton favorite at this point.
Yep.
So similar to like the program as a whole, like every guardrail, every kind of reasoned expectation is off. And it's you're a senior now. It's time to be the best player, a college lacrosse player on the planet this year.
And I hope that it's almost like Hiltz last year, where like he turned it up another notch because he was like, "This is it, right? I'm done
Yeah.
after this."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he was I think last year was his best year by far.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
he slimmed down, he looked better, he looked faster, he worked harder. His whole game was better. So I'm hoping that this whole group of seniors, they kind of have that same kind of mentality and attitude of like, all right, this is it, boys. So let's
Yeah.
put on our big boy pants. It's time
Last
to go.
chance.
Yep. And I think they will. I'm confident.
So
Dan, you wanted to say something?
I think the roster as a whole, because you guys have touched on Joey. Joey's been talking ad nauseum. I think this is the first year in a while that there's no question marks on paper. Every other year we've had, is it the defense this year? Right? Is it one position that's going to be weaker? This is the first time in a while with everybody on paper returning that we can say there's no question marks.
I
For the
have a
first time in a while.
I
I have
think
a
it's like
couple small
individual.
question marks.
I think it's like
I agree with
individual,
that.
not like units as a whole, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
who's
Yeah,
gonna
as a
be
unit
the
as a
third
whole.
top spot?
Yeah.
You know, like or
Because if I
gonna be
want to
that
nitpick, I can
presence
nitpick.
that plays
If
first?
I want to nitpick, I can nitpick, right? But units as a whole, I'll say every unit as a whole.
Yep.
Except for the second line of midfield, which we can talk about that till everything happens, but that's the one question mark.
Yep.
It was an interesting off season from a roster construction perspective because they didn't lose that many guys, but the
Mhm.
guys they did lose were really impactful.
Right.
And I think the PLL season and like the summer and the pro season kind of proved that. Like
Yeah.
Hiltz, it felt like shot onto the scene in pro lacrosse, whereas I think that was more a testament to how underrated he was at Syracuse and how underrated he is amongst he is sneakily kind of one of the all-time greats. No qualifiers, no periods, no nothing at Syracuse lacrosse. Sam English has a skill set that you can't really replicate with one player.
Right.
Yep. It's gonna have to be done by committee for sure.
Mike Grace was the perfect like third guy on that defensive unit. So they bring back a ton and they bring back pretty much the core, but there are question marks about how are you replacing that group of guys that went pro. Carter Rice too. That's if there is one hole to me in the whole roster, it's the SSDM group.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. I am interested to see how Bowen does. He's the wild card for me with that group, and I think he's going to do good. He's a big boy, and I think he's going to push some guys around. But so some other kind of impact players I labeled is that kind of third line or next kind of level of offensive guys. So Anderson, Hoddle, McCarthy. I'll lump in some of the quote unquote newcomers here, but like Charlie
Mhm.
Craftston is popped up out of nowhere in the fall. So I'm interested to see where he fits in. Does he become our third attack, or is he a second line midi?
Right.
Where does Bogue fit in as our
Mhm.
kind of star freshman? Does he do good enough this spring to warrant a spot on the first or second line? And then someone who I think is going to have a big impact is Matt McEntee. Seeing how he played in the fall, coming off of
Yep.
injury, because he didn't play last year's freshman year. And I think he redshirted, which is awesome because then we still have him another year. But he's another one where he's a big boy, and he was running fast downhill when he was dodging this fall in both hands. So
Mhm.
those are the biggest, like, on the offensive side. I'm really interested to see where they put Charlie, because and I know in the fall you're testing things and figuring out, but like at the Binghamton scrimmage, was it Binghamton that they hosted at JD? I think so. But he started an attack that game,
Mhm.
and Bear was on mid, and then they switched. Like
Right.
the quarter they switched. So, and I don't know if he's lefty or not. I don't remember, but I think he's more of like an X guy, where
Okay.
then if Charlie or Bear can be our X guy, depending on if we need a quicker, shiftier guy or a bigger bull dodge kind of guy, then Joey doesn't have to be that guy, and he can be a facilitator on the wing, or he can
Right.
free himself open to shoot on the wing too. It's just a matter of, can Finn play that other side, and he's Canadian, so I'm sure he doesn't really care where he is on the field. He's still going to use his strong hand and be just fine. Right. Like,
Mhm.
so I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how all those pieces come together and where, but I think we'll be fine.
I think you can pretty confidently name a top 5 on attack. It's gonna be like the top 3 of attack is going to be Spalina, Bear, and Finn.
Right.
And then Roa and Leo on the midfield. The question mark on that first line is who is going to be the right-handed midfield initiator and the 6th guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like, that's one of the things where I think it was reported by Dan Arestia in the offseason that they were going after Kyle Lewis from Adelphi really hard, and he ended up choosing to stay. But that's an opportunity for a Wyatt Hoddle to step into that first line. And if they step into that first line, okay, can whoever is in that job do enough to make a defense think about double polling and take a pull off of Finn, let's say.
Yep.
Or take a pull off of Leo on the other side.
Yep.
And then like second line is just up for grabs entirely.
Yeah. That's
Who will be the guys that step up? While we're talking about the offense, and it's something that is just rumored, speculation, whatever, but I've seen some things in different places and heard that Trey is potentially out for the season. I don't know the details, but I just know that that's what I've heard. Some kind of injury. But if he is, that's a bummer, but I'm not like panicking about it, right? Like,
right.
There's plenty of other options. And if anything, that gives us one more year with him post this class, right? Where he has another year to be one of the guys, right? Like, so hoping for a speedy recovery, young man, whatever it is. Hope you're doing okay. And that it's a bummer, but you know what? It's stuff happens, and it's kind of this whole team, next guy up, you know, whoever goes out. So another interesting roster update I saw, Carter Kempney is officially transferred. I guess he's at Albany.
Yeah.
He transferred in between. And then Hanson Peck is now officially on the roster. He's doing the same thing that Little Faison is doing, where he's coming early. I think the plan is for him to redshirt.
I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah, right. Like, I guess it depends on if we have a bunch of injuries or whatever. Yeah. And then I already mentioned him, but I think Bowen's going to be huge. And that's one of the things we learned in the offseason is that Gear's like, all right, I got my guys. Let me just get one add to the one position I feel kind of most nervous about. And then otherwise, I'm good with my team. I got my guys.
it's another year that they're betting on internal development.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy how the portal era has warped all of that. Like that's just how it was in lacrosse forever, that you would bring in underclassmen, they would sit, and then by the time they were upperclassmen, they'd be filling spots that are leaving. But now, because of the portal, everybody's clamoring for, especially people in the fan base are saying like, okay, this is the year, this is the last year with that class. You got to get guys in the portal and optimize it. But there's talent there. There's undeniably talent on the roster among the underclassmen. It'll be interesting to see who steps up and claims those spots.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I like that Gary's like, I'm not going to bring in a bunch of guys and blow up what I've got going on here. Like, I think it says a lot in terms of his loyalty and to his guys and that kind of stuff.
And it's good on the players because if you put in the work, that you'll actually be able to play. Dante Bowen, I think he's going to surprise people because I know a lot of people are like, well, he didn't play that much at Ohio State. Look at Ohio State's defense is a professional lacrosse defense. They legitimately have 4 or 5 players that are all going to be in the PLL. And with their D mid room last year, one of their of course, because I say this is me running all vibes, his name escapes me, but they had one of their players that played that was injured for most of his career was offensive midi, and then they had him be a defensive midi, so they kind of shifted each other. They shifted around a lot with their D mids, but it's like Dante Bowen was a part of a defense that had the best pull in the country in Bobby Van Buren, that has another best pull in the country in Cullen Brown, that's got Caleb Fyock, but it's just a defensive full of dudes. Foster, all of them are going to end up being pros. So people are like, oh, he didn't play at Ohio State because he's playing on a defense with straight dogs that are all going to be pros. So I think here's a step up, and I think people have to realize the hardest. I get into this argument with people every year. Sometimes it's with current, former players. I don't care. The hardest position to play in college lacrosse, in lacrosse in general, is defensive midfield. What is every coach's strategy whenever they play? It's to isolate your shorties and attack your shorties. It's not a Syracuse-centric thing. It's every single team, for the most part, if you have your one strong player. Like Matt was saying, I'll argue till I'm blue in the face that Carter Rice was the best defensive midfielder in the country. What he was asked to do on a dated week-to-week basis was more than what Aiden McGuire was asked to do with Duke, what any other defensive midfielder was asked to do. What SU, I think, has got to do is not so much can we replace Carter Rice? It's just like what Cam was saying. It's now Dante Bowen needs you to step up. Ryder Ochoa, you've left the Big East from St. John's. Now you've had a full ACC year under your belt. Have to step up. Spalina twins. Now's your time. Again, what Cam said, internal development, and I think that's what it is more so now. It's the guys that we have now. We don't have to look into Porto. We have the players right here. Internal development.
Look at Carter this summer, right? He was going against guys like Fields and name the list of guys. And he was doing great, right? Like, it just
that is the legitimate question mark I have. The Short Stick group,
which is fair.
Like, and it is a thing where it's more of a question mark as far as the whole team, because on defense it is you are only as strong as your weakest link thing, right? Whether or not the 6th starter on offense is able to dodge on a pole is going to affect the ceiling of that unit, but the 5 guys around them are going to be productive regardless of what that's, even if it's Tyler McCarthy. And
that's what I was going to say. That's what I think is going to end up being, because I think he's the one that was the progression since Gary has been there, old school. He's always had a 2-way midfielder. 2 years ago it was Jake Stevens running the first, who ended up running on the second midfield line, second team All-American. You had Sammy English, who I thought was the best midfielder in the country the last 2 years. And I think their understudy was Tyler McCarthy. So he has shooting woes at points, but I think we're going to put you on the wing. We're going to have you take shifts on defense, take your offensive. And I think he's going to be because I heard the same thing with Trey being hurt, got some inside information. None of my business, get better. But I think it's what Cam said. It ends up being Joey, Bear, Finn at attack, Mikey, Luke Roa, and then Tyler McCarthy.
Yeah,
I think that would be my no inside information.
I
thought.
also, yeah, that's also kind of my thought to that too. Is I think for the exact 2A ability you're mentioning, it'd be McCarthy.
And yet athletic he can beat a pole.
Right.
Hoddle would still probably be my choice. I think you add that just pure speed and jitterbug dodging for initiating.
Yeah.
But that's a thing where you're not going to get exposed for that as much as the short stick group is going to be picked on and targeted all season long until they prove that they can handle it. Because there's not a headliner, there's not all-American level guy. Maybe there is. We don't know it, right? The idea is someone could make a leap, someone could make a jump. Right. Jaden Kittleberger is a freshman who's coming in, highly touted, highly athletic. He's probably he could probably be in that first line pairing from day one. But that's also then if your SSDM group is in a point where a true freshman comes in and is your first line SSDM pairing from day one, it's not the biggest reflection on your group as a whole.
Right.
Third pole next to Fig and Dwan is it'll be interesting to see who it is, but I don't think that's going to be like a defense breaking, defense altering thing the way that SSDM could be. But that's the only place I feel that way about the whole roster.
Yeah.
Well, and that's short sticks are one of those where you got to have some depth too, right? Like you can't run two guys into the ground because by the end of the game, they're getting toasted.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they're going to get targeted all game. So you got to have 4 or 5 guys that you're just constantly rotating. And any two pairs can work together, right? Like they all got to do it. So
it feels like it's the whole. It is the question mark on this team.
Yep. Before we get into the schedule, Jack made sure to message us beforehand to make sure we reference that Cuse has the toughest schedule in the country, which I love. If you look at the top 8, so I'm not even saying top 10, top 8, we have 6 out of the top 8.
Yep.
The 7th team is Cornell. The 8th team is us. So we are playing top of the top, which I love. No cupcakes that aren't going to help us. And, you know, like the games in the beginning of the year, like at Jacksonville or some of those types of things that, you know, we're putting up 27. I don't think they help us. I think that gives us a false sense of cockiness, maybe that we don't need. There's maybe 1 or 2 games that are a little bit easier, but like even the games that are kind of on the lower end of our schedule, all those teams at some point were fighting right outside the top 20.
Right.
All of them. So they might not be there right now, but they were at some point last season. And then kind of some overall interesting notes before we get into like the nitty gritty of it is that 6-week away stretch is going to be huge. Especially because that's putting us outside multiple games in the cold right away. And that's been the biggest kind of thing, last year. Everybody was like, oh, Cuse can't play in the elements. Cuse can't play in the elements. Blah, blah, blah. Well, we're going to have our chance right away to get out there because you look at 3 games right away are in the Northeast, not too far from us in the cold. So there's going to be no avoiding that now, or no one acting like we're avoiding that, which I like to. So we are less than 2 weeks away officially from the first game of the season. We start at home with BU. I like this, having teams like this on the schedule, because I think of like some of the teams we typically play at the beginning, whether it's Jacksonville or Towson or some of the teams that might have been even a little bit lower. BU's preseason number 16. They're a top 20 team. So I like that we're starting right out the gate with a top 20 matchup. They lost in the Patriot finals, but I'm pretty sure they beat didn't they beat Army to get to the Patriot finals? I think. And then they lost to Colgate in the finals.
I want to say yes, but I could be way wrong about that.
Top 5 team all year last year. So,
yeah.
The these guys aren't going to be a slouch for sure. They
Mhm.
finished 11-5 last year. A couple guys on their roster that I put of note, and we're going to go through these, and I am going to butcher these names, so be prepared, folks.
Message Matt.
Tim-
Don't message
Tim
me.
Sha-
That's all
Tim
I'm going to say.
Shanahan. Tim Shanahan, sophomore, as a freshman. He finished with 61 points, which is pretty freaking awesome.
Mhm.
He's the number 44 preseason player, and then Jim Core, a senior, both attack. He finished with 57 points, 43 goals, and 14 assists. So I don't have a whole lot on BU notes wise because I don't follow the Patriot League, and I don't think they had a ton of common opponents with us last year where they were on my radar. I know Jack Rowlett's their defensive coordinator, so that's kind of cool. So they're going to be well coached defensively. But I like that we got a true test right out of the gate. Get right into it, boys, because it's not going to get any easier. And if at any point interject, boys, please.
So I'll say one thing right off the bat that I'm happy about with the scheduling. I think with a younger team, you need a Jacksonville, right? Like a younger team just to get their feet wet. I don't want any of them, and I'm happy that they don't have any of them because, like you said, Matt, the overconfidence. And then if you played BU the second or third week, we get into that whole stretch of, we scored 20 goals against Jacksonville. Now we can't score any against Boston. Now the sky is falling in Syracuse. We're going to play that game. We all know how that works the minute that happens.
Yep.
If they come out of the gate and do good, can they handle the expectation? That's my only thing with that. Because now they're facing those teams. Now I have to do it week to week. It's not a slouch. It's not a Binghamton. It's not a Jacksonville. It's not
Lemoyne.
And they played Syracuse well. That's all I'm going to say. Like those teams even played Syracuse well last year. We saw how that works out. But
it's going to be interesting to see how the discovery and exploration phase of this season goes because you are diving into top 20 matchups immediately.
Right.
The whole RPI debate, scheduling debate about do you schedule these teams, do that is one thing. It is another thing of we have these question marks on the roster, and what was good about a Jacksonville and a Vermont is you're able to mess around with things and explore things in actual game settings. Yeah, and maybe the staff has their guys. They have their starters locked in. They have. There isn't going to be that level of exploration period. Maybe there is. And if there is, does the fact that it's against a top 20 opponent, a borderline top 20 opponent, could go both ways. It could keep that game closer, or you actually are getting answers against a good quality opponent that will serve you better when you start getting to the gauntlet.
Yep. And it's one of those things where if we drop a 20 piece on this first game, it's all right, we're friggin' here, boys. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that's on a Sunday. Following Saturday, the 7th, home again, St. Joe's.
Yep.
They lost in their conference finals last year. They finished 9-6. They have a new coach, actually. So who knows how this is going to go. They a couple attackmen who are some of their points leaders that are retained from last year. Ben Dutton, a sophomore, put up 55 points as a freshman. Looks like he's their goal scorer, almost 50 goals. And then Trey Ica, I'm going to say that. I think that's right. Grad student. He had 24 points. And then their goalie is a senior and did really well last year. He had less than 9 goals against, 164 saves, and then almost a 57% save percentage. So this is another one that I don't have a ton of notes because the A10 kind of flies under my radar. But this is one of those where you don't want to have a trap game too early, but let's say they come out really strong against BU. Are they already looking ahead to Maryland and glazing over St. Joe's? You can't do that right at the beginning of your season, right? They're not in the top 20. I don't think they're receiving votes either, but they're going to be right outside there. They're going to be fighting for their conference title. That's what I like too, is that even these like mid-major teams that we're playing, like they're ones that either were playing in their finals or won their finals, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not the bottom feeders of these conferences. It's not a St. Bonaventure. It's not a Canisius. It's not a, one of those type of teams. And then I think arguably the biggest game of the season, a potential 1-2 matchup, Friday night lights, home against Maryland.
I don't think it's a question that it's the biggest game of the season, and it has everything to do with this team's record against John Tillman in Maryland.
Mhm.
You want a game where this team can shut everybody up and take all of any kind of ceiling that's been placed on them off. That's the game if they get the job done against Maryland in the Dome.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're preseason number 1. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Oh no. So that's the game. It's the put up or shut up. This is the game Joey has circled on his calendar with Schaller.
His last name is like the same as mine. Just spelled it wrong. It makes me
Matt's
so angry.
cousin. Matt's cousin on the Maryland side.
This is Billy Dwan circling Eric Spanos.
Yep.
Mhm.
This is Riley Figueres with Urxa.
Yep.
This is we're here. This is all of it, as Cam was saying earlier, has led up to this. I think they steamroll Boston and St. Joe's. I think there's a senior laden enough team that they are just looking at every opponent like that meme of like the Grim Reaper going into each bedroom. And I think this is the game where they're like, Mikey Leo, Goldmouth.
Yeah.
This is their defense shutting them down in the Final Four last year. And it's we're here, get on the train. It's time to win this national championship. So I think this is the game.
I will say, I do think Maryland is the best team in the country. I think they deserve the number 1 spot. But I had an epiphany watching the Final Four that the PLL season then kind of confirmed that Notre Dame last year, they retained a lot of their core from the back-to-back title winning season, but and Richard Ellie was good. Like he was a very good goalie, upper echelon, probably top 10 in the country. And the gap between him and Entenmann was still so big, and it was so much of a void that team didn't feel the way it did. And I realized during the Final Four, and then watching McNaney step into a Denver Outlaws team that had lost almost exclusively because of goalie play, and immediately become
the reason they made it to the finals.
Immediately day one be top 3 goalie in professional field lacrosse. Entenmann has made the craziest saves I've watched, but I don't think there's a goalie that is more reliable and dependable and consistent and made you as an offense feel like any kind of outside shot was basically a turnover because he was going to get it covered. And the fact that the 2 teams that have beaten McNaney in the postseason were the prime dynasty, feels like the wrong word, but that prime Notre Dame team with Entenmann and the Kavanaugh brothers and Jake Taylor and CJ Kirst and that Cornell team last year. And like, that's the bar of who's gotten by McNaney.
Right.
Brian Ruppel's a good goalie, but I wonder about that gap. And I wonder if Maryland's added a lot of talent. It'd be different now because that dragon and that beast isn't in goal anymore.
Yeah. I think it's that. I think SU is my undoubted, and it's not my bias. I think for that reason, so I'm glad you said that, Cam. It's Logan McNaney's not walking through that door, and the assumption that the Yale transfers are going to return to their 2-year ago form, because the offense that struggled to score, that now can rely on the best goalie in the country to I don't think for them it's no longer as long as we can get to 9 or 10 goals, we're good. Because that offense meeting was that for them.
That offense doesn't have a headliner. They don't have a like upper echelon first team All-American type of guy. Spanos is going to wear the 1, and he's going to be good, but that offense is going to need to be a greater than the sum of its parts thing. Now, granted, John Tillman coach teams are
They do it in a year in and a year out somehow.
but how much of it over the last couple years was John Tillman masterclass, he's executing his defense, or that defense was anchored by the most reliable, consistent college lacrosse goalie I've ever watched in McKinney.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, so last year, Spanos put up 55 points.
Yeah, Joey had as many assists as he had points.
Yeah. Yep. So the thing that I think is going to be a big X factor for that game is the face-off stripe.
Yeah.
They brought in the best face-off transfer in Dodge from Vermont, who last year finished with a 71% face-off percentage. You can argue he played against lower competition in the what are they in?
America East.
Yeah, thank you.
He played Mullen to 50%. He's in the club.
Yeah, so like can he do well enough to get them possession so they have a chance to do well? And then, like you said, Brian, how do Johnson and Lyons fit in? Right? Like the other thing too, and it reminds me of this fall's recruiting cycle with North Carolina where they're bringing in like 10 5-stars. You can only have 6 guys playing at a time on offense, right? Like, so if you have too many cooks in the kitchen, they're not all scoring. Only one guy has the ball at a time, right? Like, so very interested to see how that all plays out for their team. They have the biggest and best transfer class, but once again, how does that all fit in, right? Because
I think Georgetown does with the Connor brothers.
Yep, you could argue that for sure. But just because they come in doesn't mean they're going to be successful, right? Look at and you could argue it's different because it's a jump from Division III to Division I. But what's his name from Tufts who went to Virginia? Jack Boyden. Like he's putting up 400 points at Tufts, and then comes in. I think he put up like 20 points at UVA. And once again, you can say the team's different, but like
that UVA offense something was up with that.
But like just in general, like transfers doesn't mean success, right? Like So, but yeah, no. And just some other details that I'll throw out there. Spanos is the number 17 ranked IL preseason. Schaller's number 2. AJ Larkin, their LSM's 39. Kohler, their short 60 minutes, 30. And then Leo Johnson, one of the Yale transfers, number 40. This is going to be a big one. I'm excited for it. It's the one I'm most nervous about for sure, because it's every year it's something happens, the flash doesn't beat out the calculated, slow it down. So can we do the flash without the turnovers and the, we got to have possessions, all that kind of stuff. Right. So I'm excited to be there. I'm going to be there with bells on, screaming my ass off, but
it's going to be the litmus test.
Yep. Yep.
I think, and Brian will get this more because Brian and I know our college football team. Brian, you know where I'm kind of going with this, I assume. This is the Michigan-Ohio State game now for me every year in terms of lacrosse, right? Like every Syracuse fan has to have this game circled just from the beginning. There needs to be the clock up in the weight room, whatever you want to call it. Countdown to Maryland. It just has to be, because like it's gotten to be 8 straight at this point. You just can't let it happen again.
Yep. And I would say besides the national championship, this is the one monkey that this team takes off their back.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and depending how that game goes, that really sets the tone for the next 2 games too.
Yeah.
Which are 2 huge games. You've got your first away game coming next after that. You've got a week and a day rest because the Maryland game's on a Friday, but you're going to Harvard. And they're going to want blood because they're still pissed off, I'm sure, about that first round game that they let slip away. Granted, they don't have Sam King, but they got some pretty dang good guys that are right behind him in Spidell, Malone, and Logan Ip. Did they have a transfer? I was thinking someone that went. Anyway, it doesn't matter. the big key for that game is, can we dominate faceoffs again, and then
Mhm.
take advantage of that possession discrepancy.
I think the key is more so, and this applies to Princeton too. Is Jimmy McCool going to save more than 40% of the shots that he faces in those games?
Right.
Because those were the
Mhm.
2 games last year, the 3 really, but it was Harvard, and Princeton.
Yep.
Other than that, McCool did very well in pretty much every game.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because this is like the ACC, or excuse me, because I guess we kind of, for sake of time, group all 3 of those games, that 3-week or 3 games
the
in a
Ivy
row,
stretch.
the Ivies. Yeah, the Ivies together, because like to Cam's point, it's they'll run up and down. They've shown that we'll go up and down with you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Jimmy will be that X factor, because I'm not trying to. I don't know if they want to do 19, 20 point shoot. Maybe they do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also worry about the letdown though, and the Boston, just in general in my brain. You get everything hyped up for Maryland. We all know how that works. You can't have a letdown the next week though, because if you do beat the Maryland, right, and you do come out and you dominate or whatever, you lose to Boston. We all know how that goes. There it goes, right down the drain again. We're right back down to ground zero. I know it's Maryland. I know it's beating Maryland, but you can't beat Maryland and then throw a stinker against Harvard or any of those away games,
This team,
because it takes away everything.
I push back a little. This schedule is difficult enough that they're gonna drop like 1 or 2 games they shouldn't. I think that's a natural effect of playing a schedule this tough, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Because as long as you rack up enough quality wins, and every single game you play is an opportunity to do that, you'll be in the tournament.
Yeah.
So then that's where it's like, okay, the statement of we beat Maryland, likely number 1 in the country, Maryland, is worth more than let's just okay, they lost to Harvard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if they beat Maryland, lose to Harvard, beat Princeton, they're probably still maybe not number 1 because they're not undefeated, but they're going to be like top 3 or 4 in the country.
Yeah. Well, especially if if they win those 2 games, then you wouldn't have 2 top 3 wins.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
I think just in general though, it's more the way that they lose. I'm okay if it's a shootout, right? And you lose by 1 or 2. That's fine.
Yep.
I just don't want a 5 or 6 goal game after whatever game you want to pick. You don't want that to happen. That's my only thing with that.
Yeah, complete fall apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Harvard comes in preseason number 12. Then the following week, they're part of that thing that Duke and UNC did last year with Princeton and Penn, where game Friday, Sunday. So you got Princeton on Friday, which I think that's the second biggest game behind Maryland.
Yeah, it is.
Game. They lose McAsee, but they return a ton of guys. Like that whole offense is just dangerous with Kabiri, Palumbo, Colin Burns, Tucker Wade, Peter Buono, Peter Banana. And then their goalie is back, and he's a pretty good goalie too.
Quarterfinal
He's
rematch.
a top 50 player, this preseason player, and they're preseason number 3, and they're in the same boat as Harvard, where they still have a sour taste in their mouth from that game last year too, right? So
Game circle for them.
There's a pretty unanimous top 3, like the 1A tier of college lacrosse, and you can argue the order. It's Maryland, Syracuse, Princeton. Those are the 3 teams at the top.
Yeah.
So especially early, getting a sense of how you fare, it's very likely that that's not the last time Syracuse plays one of those 2 teams this year.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
I like that weekend. We do the harder team first. But at the same time, that's another trap game, right? Like if you beat Princeton, you have a short turnaround. You got to bring it against Penn, because Penn is typically a very strong defensive team.
Yeah.
They're going to want to beat you in an 8-7 game, right?
They also have a new coach.
Yeah, they were terrible last year too, so you can't let. They were not good last year.
Yep. Yeah, they finished 4-10 last year. So if you look at last year's stats, they're probably our easiest game of the season. But who knows? They lost by only 1 or 2 goals to Notre Dame last year at the end of the season.
Right.
I was really hoping they were going to upset them. They almost did, right? So then they start their spring break trip, they go down to Hopkins, play at oh my God, what's the name of the field at Hopkins? I'm blanking.
Homewood.
Thank you. Which they had a down year last year. They didn't win a Big Ten game.
They always play SU tough though. That's still
Every game.
a lot of people that
kind of goes out the window.
Yeah, to what Dan said, for a lot of people, that's still the Michigan Ohio State game, the Duke North Carolina basketball game for people. Because Syracuse has had the edge the last few years, but that's usually a game that's turned into whatever reason a 1 or 2 goal game.
It's like when we play Army, right? It doesn't matter where Army's ranked; they always play stuff.
I'm so happy Army's not on the schedule. Might be the one person who's
So
very
glad.
excited.
I'm right there with you.
I love that we're ducking Army. I love that we're ducking
Yeah,
Army.
play the dudes that have to be in shape per their careers to play those
Exactly.
first game of the season.
Well, especially get them in a top 10 year, right? And then you're like, crap. They are great when they're winless walking in. If they get the confidence.
And then they always lose, and they never like actually boost your RPI that much because they always lose in the Patriot League.
They find a way to ruin it. Yep. But I mean, they still got some good players that are returning too. You got Matt Collison, Hunter Chavette, Brooks English. I know Kevin Boylard, I think, was going on about Quentin Kilrain, their defender, who's pretty good.
Yeah, he's really good. Ollie Knowlton, Asher Knowlton's little brother.
I know it's Ollie Knowlton, Asher's little brother. Ted Rawson's older brother plays on that team.
Okay.
And then you know who's going to be the X factor for them? I think Charlie Eiler, who had a pretty good season last year. I think he's one of those guys that are going to look to like elevate his game and help. So they play that game, and Hopkins is preseason number 20, right? Or number in the top 20. They're 17. So they're who knows with them.
Syracuse will be favored, but it's gonna that is a rivalry game in its purest sense.
Yeah.
Records out the window.
It is Syracuse's oldest, longest running
Since the Gate era.
since before the Gate era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should let the historians say.
I mean, there is a guy here who did the history of the program, Matt, but it's okay. You're right, Matt. Let you tell it. Let Cam.
Listen, I sent your videos to a buddy of mine the other day to get him to watch them, Cam. So I'm still promoting you. And then so we started.
Years this year, damn.
You're getting old, man.
sidetracked.
You're an old man now.
I know.
Told you, man. Time moves after college, man. It's like
It only gets faster too.
Yeah.
So then they go out to Denver for their spring break trip. Brian, are you gonna go?
I'm gonna for the Denver game and the Denver games. I'm an hour from there, so that game I'm gonna go to. I know it's their spring break. I wish one of them was like on a weekend, but yeah. And then they play in the Springs at Air Force. That'd be a fun trip for them where they still got to have fun and buckle down. That Denver game I'm interested in because Air Force with Yago transferring to Notre Dame. I'm not super concerned about that game, but Denver, one of those teams again, play strong defense, coached well.
Yep.
Probably
in
the championship
game on the schedule.
What'd you say, Ken?
Air Force is probably the easiest game on the schedule. But Denver is going to be interesting because that game is on the road. You have the quarterfinal rematch from 2024.
Yep.
And just like the Canadian style, Denver is probably the second most Canadian style team in college lacrosse. It's those two teams, and so that's what'll make it interesting.
Yep. So have a fun trip, boys, because when you come back, Georgetown.
Yeah.
That's the most intriguing game of the season.
It is.
Because that's Georgetown's one of my Final Four teams. Because I think this is the year they finally make it into the Final Four. And as Cam said earlier, I think they had the best class. The Connor brothers are.
That's a get. That is a get.
And putting them
they don't walk in scared.
Yeah. And seeing what they did at a mid-major program, right? Like they put up combined 172 points last year. Which is it's insane to have one guy have 90 points on your team, but then to have another one right behind it, like that's like Thompson brothers level numbers combined. So to now put them on a higher level program too.
It is Big East, but like,
But there, you could argue that
Yeah.
that's like right
not
behind
Patriot League.
Ivies, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Georgetown still gives them name recognition.
yeah,
so that's going to be a big one, and it's at the Dome, which will be awesome. Yeah, I thought that,
lacrosse. I love it.
What's really interesting about this schedule is, and this is the departure from what it's been the last couple of years, is they're gonna get to the ACC slate, and you're gonna feel like the worst part of it's behind them.
yeah,
That's the weird part.
it's opposite, right?
It's not building up to the ACC slate. Like and it's kind of the way that the whole like 2 years ago, the ACC was as strong as it's ever been, and you had Schellenberger and the Kavanaughs and Brennan O'Neill. And it's timed up that this kind of Syracuse window has lined up with the ACC, the rest of the ACC trying to figure out what its next era looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And like North Carolina, especially with a healthy Owen Duffy, is going to be a very interesting challenger. But otherwise, it does feel like Syracuse is the most solid, most clear team at the top of that conference. Just because Notre Dame is fully moving on from the Kavanaugh brothers and that whole era, their golden age, especially with Jordan Faison not playing this spring. Duke has Aiden McGuire, but they lose McAdory. Patrick Jameson is going to be a problem in goal for them. But like, how does that offense look? Virginia is just kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Everything that happened with Virginia, I don't like, or at least that I've like read about, it's going to be interesting with them. But like the amount of offensive headliners of like top tier attackmen in the ACC it's like Spallina and Duffy,
Petro.
maybe McCabe Millen, maybe Petro, maybe Ben Johnson. And that's like it.
Yep. Yeah. So then we go from Georgetown to start ACC with Duke.
In the Dome.
I think, to Cam's point, they're a defensive heavy team. They've got a lot of pieces that are, how are those going to fit in? So they got Owen Gaffney from Harvard, Kyle Colsey from UVA, and then one of the top freshmen, Anthony Drago, in the country. So it's can that offense keep up with teams and their defense keep them in games? Time will tell. Who knows? And the other thing that, and I was crapping on them, I think to some of you all a couple weeks ago when their schedule came out, they have probably the easiest schedule of the country. Like they maybe have one hard non-conference game, but they're playing like Bellarmine and Cleveland State, like those types of teams that like are going to do them no favors. They play Jacksonville every year. Jacksonville plays them strong every year. Duke inevitably loses some kind of game in February and March. So with such a weak schedule, does that put the nail in their coffin? Who knows? Then go to you. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
No, you're good. We'll go through the whole ACC, and then I'll make my point about the ACC.
Okay. So then we go to UNC. Like Cam said, I think that's our biggest competitor for the top of the ACC, with that two-headed monster of Duffy and Petramala. And with Wambach as their face-off guy, continuing to get them possessions. How does Mullen face against Wambach this year? That was his toughest test. And the other thing is, can Duffy stay healthy?
Yeah.
He's a guy that risks his body and then he's out, so now that he's a junior, is he going to be a little bit smarter with his play and not risk his body as much to help the team? They've got another big freshman in Anthony Rao too. Who knows how he fits in, but like other than those two, like it's really those two. And then from there you have like 20-point producers, right? Like, so they really ride or die on those two.
Yeah.
So if either of them goes down at all, like their season's screwed. Like, so, then we go, Are we at UVA? What did I didn't write.
We host UVA.
Yeah,
Oh,
versus
yeah,
UVA.
Yeah.
Which they've got a lot of question marks too. Can McCabe come back from a little bit of what you'd argue is a sophomore slump?
Mhm.
Yeah, the Millen brothers.
Yep, because he's with his brother now. There's a built-in chemistry there, so they do really well together. Who's playing in goal for them is a big question. You've got a couple guys who were freshmen last year that had injuries, like a Ryan Dunkel. That like, what do they do post-injury? How does that affect that team? I think they're probably them or Notre Dame are probably the biggest with like question marks of like, how does our team fit together? Like, how does it all come together? Right.
Mhm.
And then host Colgate, you could argue maybe that
completely randomly.
it reminds me of when we used to play
schedule.
them, like when we didn't have an ACC tournament where we play them in like the first week of May every year.
Yeah.
That I think is potentially also our easiest game
Mhm.
because their two biggest weapons are gone.
But it is also Colgate, and they're going to have that. Like, it is a great. Colgate's always a great test of how well you clear it against the 10-man ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of my notes is, can we handle the 10-man ride?
They also, that's their Super Bowl every year.
Mhm.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's the other thing about Colgate.
Yep. Kind of like Hobart when Hobart plays us.
Mhm.
You know, it's the same thing. It's like
Any
the
of
New
those,
York
any
teams.
upstate team.
Yep. And then we finish off with Notre Dame at Notre Dame on the 25th of April. They're another one that, what does life look like post Kavanaugh? Right. No, and you got no Jordan Faison, which
Yep.
I mean, I think he had 14 points, but like he's going to draw a poll just
Post
because
Jake
of who he
Taylor.
is. Post Jake Taylor. They're another one that's going to be a strong defensive team, but like, what does their offense look like? Can they produce? They've got Josh Yago from Air Force who put up 72 points, but
Watch him play. He is so good. I think he's one of the top transfers in the portal. He is so good.
and do we set up Joey like we did last year against Sean Light, where we moved him off ball?
Mhm.
Because that was the recipe for success, right? Like Joey excelled because he was the off ball guy and didn't try to dodge Sean one-on-one. So yeah,
That is why, not to like pivot back into roster, I do. Bear Anderson to me is the X factor of the entire season. I think he earned the right to step into Owen Hiltz's spot on attack and play it full time. And what we saw last year, it became painfully obvious that you couldn't ignore him as a dodging threat. By the end of that year, even as a second line midfielder, if he got the short stick at any point, it was like, get the ball to him automatically.
Yep.
Yep.
The other thing with Bear Anderson, though, is like, it's not just typical kind of big, bruising, athletic dodger goal scorer stuff. You see the flashes of creativity, the flashes of playmaking.
He's got speed too.
That give him a chance. Like, the tools are there for him to be a legitimately special talent. And if he can make that leap, if you can in that Notre Dame game, you can move him behind and play him at X a little bit, or you can, let's say, shadow Finn at X and give Joey a run off ball. Maybe that isn't even just like a Notre Dame thing. That's a different look that you can throw at defenses. And if he makes like an All-American leap his sophomore year, that could be the thing that takes the offense into this might be the best offense in the country territory.
I agree. I'm 100%. Because I told Matt that. I think, because I don't know if I told Dan, if I told you and Cam, because I told Matt before, I think Bears could get 22 after Joey leaves level good. I think he's got that type of talent.
Right now, he'd be my pick.
Yeah, I think he's got that level of talent.
I think part of that though depends on the leap he takes. If I'm being honest, right? If he takes it, if he doesn't take that big of a leap, we have a bigger conversation on who it is.
Yeah,
but if he takes that All-American leap, he's there. He is. Yeah. He should be the number 22.
Yeah, I think he's got that much potential.
Well, the thing too is like 22 isn't number one at Maryland, right? No. Like it's not a just automatic. Okay, we pick who's going to be number one every year. It's does this person deserve it? Right.
Yeah.
And it's, if we don't have a 22 for 4 or 5 years, then we don't have a 22 for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not okay, who's going to be 22 next year? Right. Like, but yeah, no, I what was my other point I was going to say? I lost it. Oh, so we talk about Hiltz being like our biggest offensive absence, right? Like, but Bear puts up an extra 20 points. Rowan and Leo put up another 10 points. Finn puts up another 10, 15 points. Like all those pieces, they come together and everybody makes a little bit step forward. Then it's, and not that it's a bad thing to have 2 stars that are your main people, but like if you have 4 or 5 people that are putting up 40 to 50 points, that's way harder to defend than 2 guys putting up 90 and 78 and then 30 30 30 or 30 30 25, right? Like so if each of these guys can make themselves a weapon enough that they're putting up between 40 to 60 points, then no one's stopping that, right? Like so
it's also a really interesting year for Finn Thompson.
Yeah.
Because he was it was a lost storyline from last year that he was in the process of making a leap, moving down to attack before he got hurt.
Yep.
And was out for so long that it just, by the time the tournament came around, it wasn't like picking up on it. So what does he have? Can he add to his skill set the ability to command a third pole or legitimately punish teams that want to put a short stick on him? And tie that whole attack unit together. I'm always like a Finn Thompson apologist. I love his skill set. I think his interior, like inside finishing game. Can you be a Jake Taylor level of off-ball guy? Can you reach that level? And if you can, with Spallina at quarterback, with Bear Anderson taking on the load of kind of like dodging and initiating, like again, that's where the offense's ability to beat you in multiple ways comes into play.
Right.
Dan, what was that point about the ACC you wanted to make?
All I was going to say is throw out the records with the ACC. We play this game every year where each team is down, every team is down, and then Syracuse goes in or Duke goes in and upsets anybody. That was my main thing. We can play the records game up until that point, and I'm okay with that. But I throw out the records every year.
They're going to lose a game they shouldn't.
Yep, that was my point. Pretty much,
they're going to lose an ACC game that they shouldn't lose.
Yeah,
you can pencil it, bookmark it in, but and tournament play is going to be its own other factor, and we're going to know a lot more about every team in the conference by the time the tournament comes around. But Syracuse should be playing for the ACC championship again. This is a team that we're like the baseline should be. You are cementing yourself and cementing this core as ACC champions again. And you are right. Then it's like, maybe it's a thing where they legitimately might not have made the tournament if they didn't do it last year. Maybe it is a thing where now you're cementing and battling for seeds, right? So that maybe you get a Princeton in the Final Four instead of a Maryland in the Final Four. It's going to matter, but I do feel confident of them taking care of business in the conference by and large, because I do think they are like a clear best team in the ACC.
I think so too.
So we've got 15 games in the season. What are your guesses, gentlemen, for record?
I'll say 14-1. I think they're going to steamroll.
I think they're going to have a tougher regular season.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to prepare them better for the playoffs and the NCAA tournament. Like, I think they could lose 3-4 games. Probably lose 1 or 2 they shouldn't. Probably lose to a Maryland or a Georgetown or a Princeton. But I think this schedule, maybe they are not the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, but they're going to be ready for the tournament. They're going to be ready to make that run. And like, that's what this season's about. No one's going to care about the regular season record.
Yep.
The legacy of this team, this season, this era is going to be written in May when the NCAA tournament starts, and whether or not they go through that gauntlet and bring home a national title. And so as long as they make it in, which I think they will with that strength of
Right.
schedule, even if they lose 3-4 games, like,
Yeah, 12-3 sticks out to me. And I almost want them to have some adversity. You know,
Right.
like
yeah,
the thing I would hate the most is they go 15-0 and then they lose a first round game, right? Like
Yeah.
some of those, like, I don't know what years, but I think of like some of the, Kevin Rice, Dylan Donahue era, like we had those teams that only lost a game or two. I'm sure you know the years, Cam, that I'm talking about, but like some of that kind of mid era before we kind of fell off, where we had a 1 or 2 loss season, lost that first round game to like Bryan or Army or like,
like 2011, 12, 13 kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. So like that's the last thing I want. I'd rather have them lose a couple games in the regular season, kind of figure out, okay, what did we do wrong? How do we like make sure we don't get too smart for our own britches, my old man phrasing. And then be ready to go for the tournament, right? Like I'd much rather have that. So
I do think it is like a not all 12-3s are created equal kind of deal.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
they take care of business against everybody, but they lose to Maryland and Princeton and like Georgetown, and it, like you go into the tournament, you're like, okay, there's question marks about can this team legitimately beat the best teams in the country.
Yeah.
If they beat 2 out of 3 of that Maryland, Princeton, Georgetown thing, but they lose to, let's say, like Penn and North Carolina or Denver or something like that,
it's very different.
yeah, that it's still 12-3, and they probably are, like, because of the way the RPI and the whatever. But I feel more confident knowing that this team can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yep. Yeah, what those 3 losses are says very different things about the team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
I was gonna say I have them at 13-2. So 13-2. One of those losses is gonna be an ACC game. I'm not gonna tell you which one. It's just gonna be the way it works out because they are gonna
That's
lose one of those games.
I'm also going to
Just
go
a-
12-3.
Okay.
Because again, like I would have 2 losses and then factor in the one ACC
Right.
game they shouldn't lose that they do lose.
With the beat Maryland for me. And not being the other loss though. I will say that. So
One thing I will say too, I didn't mention times because they haven't officially been posted by SU yet. I know some folks on the Facebook page, the Syracuse Lacrosse Faithful Facebook page, have kind of reverse engineered from other schools. So I don't know if, because they're not on the SU page, if those are just assumed filler times from the other schools, or if they've been told and we just haven't caught up yet and put them on our schedule. But yeah, so we'll see what those are, which is kind of crazy that it's less than 2 weeks out and they're not on there. But I know TV contracts and when they're going to be on the ACC network versus ES, like all that stuff has impacts on all that stuff. So I think that's why I would assume that's why we don't have those official times yet. But I'm super looking forward to it. I don't think I've been this excited for lacrosse, Syracuse lacrosse, in a while. Like it's just been kind of with this class slowly building up more and more.
Like
Yep.
it is I'm going to have to remind myself to enjoy the ride throughout the season. Like,
Yep.
because it is going to be a thing of like, you get sucked up into the pressure, but
Right.
the cool thing about college athletics is that things get defined in these eras of 3, 4, 5 years. And those eras go like hand in hand and define your life. Like this period of Syracuse lacrosse is going to be a period of my life that I associate with that sport. And so like, that's where I think like, and maybe it's like for all Syracuse fans, like what this class has already done as far as like where the program was when they came here, the worst season in its history, modern history, to where it is now.
Right.
It's a pretty strong accomplishment, and the sport is in a different place where like championship windows and legitimate championship title contending seasons do not come around very often.
Yeah,
So it's pressure, but it's also like something to enjoy and savor.
And that's why they wanted to play at the highest level, right? Because they wanted that pressure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Something
And
of
like-
note, the first game is at 1 p.m. I just looked on the Boston website officially.
Yep.
So they are, every other school is releasing their times.
Yep.
I think, like you said, Matt, the ACC, ESPN deals, we're going to start seeing that start to work itself out.
Yeah.
And the flex times may change. We're going to play that game.
Yep.
It's annoying. You know what? I'm happy we got the schedule before the new year. That's all I care about. We finally got the schedule before the new year. None of that. We got all that crap. We just didn't get the time. I'll take 1 out of 2. That's all I'm going to say. I hate to say it that way, but that's better than what we've gotten before.
Yeah. I really liked your point, Cam, about like how this, like, every era is in little chunks, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm treating this year, because I know it also means a lot to my son. Like,
Mhm.
we're going to go to every game possible. If I have to miss things or whatever, like the first game, he technically has practice at 2:00 on Sunday. We're probably going to miss practice. I'm
Yeah.
not going to miss the first home game of this senior class's season.
Yeah.
Senior season. Like, because this isn't going to come around. Like, who knows if this kind of stuff is going to come around?
Who
again.
knows? Like,
Right.
And I've made it pretty clear. Like, my son and I have somewhat of a relationship built up with Joey Spallina, right? Too. So it's like I don't want to miss any of this, right? Like, because I don't know if my son's going to have a level of closeness to a player like this again, right? Like, so
Mhm.
I want to take in every ounce of this, every second of this as much as possible. Like, I look back to that Harvard game last year, that first round, like that was one of my favorite like memories as like
Yep.
a dad, lacrosse dad, whatever. Like, you were at the game, right, Brian? Were you there for that one?
Sitting right next to you during the game.
Yeah. And he's like, my son's jumping up and screaming and freaking out. Ah! And we have him out way past bedtime and all this stuff. And I went to work late so we could sleep in and go to school late the next morning. Like, it's those kind of things that like you don't want to miss because you don't know if those are going to come back around again, right? Like, so
and that's the thing with the kind of title or bust mentality. Like, I get it, right?
Yep.
But also the margins are so razor thin that
Mhm.
you have to get luck. You need luck. You need the bounces to go your way. Like, it's crazy how close that Harvard game was to a absolute disaster. And it almost should have been an absolute disaster. So like, don't tether yourself to it as much as you can. That's my advice to Syracuse fans.
Yep.
Take the season in for what it is. Take this program being back
Mhm.
in the top tier of college lacrosse for where it is. Don't engage in Spallina discourse. I don't want to see Spallina discourse this year. You're watching one of the all-time greats. Unequivocal, no questions asked.
Yep.
You're like career points leader. It's not going to come around very often.
this kid's done everything that everybody's asked of him.
No discourse this year. Enjoy it.
Yep, that's my takeaway for the season. No prediction. Enjoy the ride. It's gonna be fun.
Heck yeah, it is.
Be in the moment.
They're going to compete for a title. Maybe that means Final Four again. Maybe it means they get make the title game. Maybe it means they win it all. I honestly don't know, and I don't care.
So
Matt,
Go
I
ahead,
got one thing I just thought of.
Yep.
We did it in fall ball. Let's do it now that the season is upon us. Who's the one breakout player for everybody that they see exceeding expectations? I've got Peyton. I'm going to go with that train. We're going to take the All-American leap. He's got the expectation, but I think there's another level there that we'll hopefully see this year.
I'll go Tyler McCarthy.
Okay.
you want me to go, Cam, or you want to go?
You can go, Matt.
Matt McEntee.
That's a
He's,
good one.
I think, because he is one of the biggest unknowns, right?
Mhm.
Especially those first couple games where teams don't have any scout on him other than maybe if they got some info from fall ball. He's a potential to pop you right in the mouth because they don't know anything about him those first couple games.
Part of this is I feel like he's being underrated by lacrosse as a whole. I'm going to go Jimmy McCool.
Okay.
I can
Oh.
see him taking a leap in goal this year, and I
Mhm.
think you saw the flashes, you saw the moments, and by and large, you saw the consistency of him being one of the best goalies in the country. He just had the lows were low.
Mhm.
If you iron that out, this is a not like honorable mention. No. This is an all-American level goalie.
Like that.
The other thing I'll say about this team, probably you can make a legitimate argument best specialist combination in the country, and
Yes.
that's the
Mhm.
thing about this Syracuse team that feels different.
Yep.
Is that they have top 2 face-off guy, and face-offs is fickle. Like it's such a matchup, game dependent, game to game dependent. How is the ref calling it and timing it?
Mhm.
Kind of deal. But Mullen, when he is locked in, is unbelievable at the X.
Yep.
And I am higher on McCool than I think the wider lacrosse world is, because like the ACC, he got him into the tournament with his ACC tournament play.
Right.
And even in the down games like Harvard and Princeton, when it became clutch time, when they had to get a stop to close the game out, he made the clutch saves.
Mhm.
He didn't get a chance to do it against Maryland, but I think he can become a all-American level goalie, and that is something that very few other teams are going to be able to say they have. And that, like, it's specialists, it is an outsized relationship of like, if your specialists are really good, you're going to compete for a title.
Yep. Yeah, because they can make or break so much.
Mhm.
So moving forward for the season, we'll probably keep the same format we did last year, where day or two after games, we'll do a
Yep.
kind of recap and then look ahead to the next game. Brian and Cam, you're welcome to join us whenever schedules fit. We love having you guys for these kind of special things, but if you're able to, we'd love to have you join us. So I'm really looking forward to the season, and thanks for joining us tonight, fellas. Appreciate it.
Enjoy the ride, Q's fans.
Yeah.
In the moment.
The two
No
of you,
discourse.
if you're in town, let me know.
That is
Cam,
true.
I'm push you. You got to come up and get to a game.
Yeah, I gotta
There's no Long Island games this year.
find a time for it.
And then Brian, I'm sure you'll tell me when you're making the next trip out. So let me know.
Gotcha.
We can coordinate seats or something, boys.
Yeah, we gotta coordinate it all. Figure out a time to get the whole gang up
some
there.
live streaming or live chatting
Gotcha.
or something. We'll get Jack on board. We'll get Jack to do most of the work.
We'll have Jack live streaming the game with his phone, just live.
There you go.
Live chat.
Jack's gonna get his credentials one way or the other. We're gonna work on that part. So
Yeah.
All
right.
I don't.
We'll appreciate
Matt,
it, fellas.
you got anything else? Are you
Thanks for
good?
I'm good. I'm good. Go
Okay.
Orange. Let's go. I'm ready.
Go
February
Orange.
16th, soon enough.